we'll get you more on that. Russian President Putin has criticized U.S. efforts to pressure India and China into cutting energy ties with Moscow, warning that such moves could backfire economically. Well, Putin said if higher tariffs are imposed on Russian trade partners, then it would drive up our global prices and it will force the U.S. Federal Reserve to keep interest rates high. As U.S. that imposed additional 25% tariff on India, raising the total tax on Indian exports to nearly 50% in August.
However, in Europe, many of the politicians want to be attacked as a bull or a goat or a ram. Will not point fingers, but this is not about China. It's not the case of India or China or any other major powers or mid-sized nations who respect themselves and will not allow to be humiliated.
Well, Srinjoy, good morning. Criticizing the U.S. efforts to pressure India and China to cut energy ties with Russia, Putin saying that both countries will not allow themselves to be humiliated.
India certainly would not allow humiliation. And this is something the West is aware of, except perhaps a handful of people. And the point is that especially after all these years of colonialism, this is even worse. And India is making it very clear. Even anyone who is sensible will know that for India, this is not something which is nice. India does not like being browbeaten. And the point is, very good economics. As America once said, first of all, when India buys Russian oil, America had said in the past, it keeps the price of Russian oil down. Secondly, of oil in the world markets down. Secondly, when India refines this oil and exports it to America, America sees this as Indian oil. Now, if that is so, to suddenly turn this over in one day or 1 week does not make economic sense, does not make strategic sense, does not make political sense. That's exactly the point that President Putin is making. Besides that, all these statements about Modi being responsible for the Russia-Ukraine war,
yes,
and also the Maharaja of tariffs phrase, these are things that India has not liked, and Putin has hit the nail on the head when he says that.
Absolutely. He's warned that higher tariffs on Russia could raise global prices, force the U.S. Federal Reserve to keep interest rate high, and that would further slow down the economy of the United States of America. But the Indian angle there, as Srinjoy continues to be with us, President Putin has praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi and called his leadership as wise, saying that India and Russia share special strategic ties, and now this is coming at a time where the Russian president is expressing his anticipation for his upcoming visit to New Delhi early December and has ordered the government to devise measures to soften trade imbalance with India due to heavy import of crude by New Delhi. Now, speaking at the International Valdai Discussion Forum on Security and Geopolitical Experts, now backing India, especially when it comes to President Putin is concerned, he says that both the countries have never had any problems or tensions between them and have always taken actions by keeping their views in their sensitivities. Well, this is 15 years, I guess, Srinjoy, that is going to be marked when it comes to the India-Russia, especially when President Putin's upcoming visit is now concerned, because he's highlighted the special nature of the relations since the days of the Soviet Union.
Yes, about that there is no doubt, because India remembers the Soviet Union supporting India during the 1971 war. And that support in the UN Security Council was absolutely crucial. Now, that support is something India has not forgotten, nor has India forgotten the fact that in the 60s, when India needed weapon systems, at that time, the one country that provided the weapons was actually the Soviet Union. The MiG-21 is a perfect example of that. The weapon system, the fighter aircraft that was retired only recently, weeks ago, was the fighter that was given to India, not today, not yesterday, not day before yesterday, sometime in the mid-60s. And India has been using this fighter for these 55 years. So this is something that India remembers. The weapons, the fact that India has received special weapon systems from Russia, like a nuclear-powered submarine. These are things that India does not forget. The India-Russia relationship really depends on three major issues, or rests on three major platforms. One, defense; one, space; and one, civil nuclear energy. Let's not forget the first Indian in space was Rakesh Sharma, and he flew to space on a Russian spaceship.
Well, that has been as far as the strategic ties between India and Russia is concerned, because defending its purchase of Russian crude oil, India has also been maintaining that its energy procurement is driven by national interest and market dynamics, and India will not bear any humiliation. That seems to be a warning that is now coming in from its long-standing ally and friend, that is President of Russia, to the United States on these high tariffs that have been imposed by President Trump. Thank you very much, Rinjo, for joining us here on the broadcast. Let's